We're talking to Jim McGovern here in his office, Congressman Jim McGovern, here in the Cannon House office building. Jim is between votes. Jim, you represent where in Massachusetts? What is your district?
The 3rd Congressional District, which is Worcester, and it stretches all the way down to southeastern Massachusetts in Fall River.
Great. Jim, why is it that you feel so strongly about Iraq and about this issue, and why are you taking such an active role in the Congress about it?
I think this war is a moral blunder. I think it's the worst political, diplomatic, and military mistake we've made in our history. I've been there. I've seen what's happening over there. I've met with soldiers at Walter Reed Hospital. I've met with people who've returned who live in my district, and almost everyone I've talked to has confirmed what I have felt from the very beginning, that this war was a mistake and it needs to be ended. We should not be sending our men and women into a combat situation when we don't even know what we're doing over there. And this war has gone on longer than World War II. It's time to bring it to an end.
What can Congress do about it?
I mean, Congress controls the purse strings. So Congress can do a lot of things. I mean, Congress can condition money. They can withhold money. They can cut off the funding. And it all depends on what the political will here in Congress is. But we have a lot that we can do. The problem has been, over the last 4 years, the President's party has controlled both the House and the Senate. We haven't even had hearings. We haven't done any oversight hearings. There's no accountability. So, now there's a different leadership in the House and Senate. Now we have an opportunity to kind of do the things that we haven't done the last 4 years. But my own view is that we don't have a lot of time for hearings. We need to start taking action to bring our troops home.
Now, what about your legislation? What does it call for?
My legislation calls for the safe and orderly withdrawal of our troops beginning immediately, taking no more than 6 months, and then it would cut off funding for the war. No more military operations, no money from military bases. We turn them back over to the Iraqis. We can support reconstruction efforts. We can support humanitarian efforts, food and medicine. We can support efforts designed to create a political solution to this, to the Iraqi situation. But no more U.S. occupation, no more U.S. troops on the ground. Enough is enough. We need to bring this war to an end.
Now, what do you say to critics that say, well, if we did that, we wouldn't be supporting the troops?
Well, I think the way you support the troops is you keep them safe, and the way you keep them safe is bring them home. They were sent over there under false pretenses. We originally went into Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction. There were none. Then we went to create a democracy. Well, we can't do that anymore. So the rationale keeps on changing. Our troops right now are refereeing a civil war. And look, I think the best way to protect our troops is to bring them home. We need to be careful in how we commit our troops abroad. And this president, and with the acquiescence of Congress, has engaged our troops in an effort that I think represents an all-time high in recklessness and stupidity.
Jim, I'm assuming that your bill is not going to come up for a vote tomorrow or next week or perhaps next month. What are the key votes that you're facing, and what should people be paying attention to in the next several weeks in Congress? Well,
I think kind of the first major issue is going to be the emergency supplemental appropriations bill. Where the president's requesting, $120, $130 billion for Iraq alone, and I think that that's kind of one of those marker pieces of legislation, where if you believe that this war needs to be ended right now, you vote against it. Now, there may be amendments to the bill, and there may be language in the bill that we likely want to protect and support. So we're going to have to kind of watch that very carefully. But that's kind of the first big vote, is this emergency supplemental. And then after that, there'll be a defense authorization bill, a defense appropriations bill, which will come down the road several months later, which also we need to pay attention to and make sure that we have language in there that does what we want, bring this war to an end. There may be other votes as to whether or not we should rescind the authorization, the original authorization for this war. Some of us have been pushing for that, and it may come up. But the first big vote is the emergency supplemental appropriations bill, and people need to pay attention and stay in touch with their representatives.
Jim, should we be worried about a U.S. attack on Iran?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why you should be worried is because you can't get a straight answer out of this administration. And they seem to be rattling the sabers, and they seem to be speaking in a language that would imply that they hold that option, that they might go into Iran. And I wouldn't trust this administration to tell me the correct time after what they've done on Iraq. And they may be thinking that this is a way to kind of distract attention away from the disaster in Iraq, and get the American people all together, rallied behind a military action in Iran. People should be worried about that, and we should be passing legislation in the Congress, which we should demand that comes up, saying the President cannot take any military action in Iran without a specific authorization from Congress. I don't think he'd get the votes for a specific authorization to attack Iran, but I want this President to know that we don't believe he has the power to do it, and we should be on record as making that clear.
Will you have that chance? Do you think that that will come to the floor?
I do believe it will. I mean, I've talked to the Speaker of the House about that, and she's given me the impression that that is something that she would be open to having come to the floor. To me, the sooner the better.
Great. One last question. Our members are going to be calling members on the phone. They're going to be visiting them in the district work period. What's the most important thing for members of Congress to hear from their constituents? I
think one is it's important that they hear from you. It's important that people contact their Congress people and their senators. But I think the most important thing to say is that this war is wrong. You have to end it. Do whatever you can to end it. I mean, there'll be a lot of different opportunities for people to take votes to achieve that goal. Support them all. This war is wrong. It's immoral. And for the sake of our country, we need to bring it to an end. And one final thing, it's difficult for people to dissent in times of war. But if you think this policy is morally wrong, if you think this policy is deplorable, then it's your patriotic duty to pick up that phone and call your representative or email him or her or write to them or visit their office. I mean, we all have a responsibility here. And so I would urge people to become even more active if they've been active. If they haven't been active, get involved.